It is Sunday, September 9th, 2012. I am protesting as usual in front of the Unitarian Church of Montreal. Today is the second Sunday in the new church year, as the Unitarians tend to, not all of them these days, but there's a long tradition of more or less shutting down Unitarian churches in the summer, if not totally closing them, at least having only lay-led services. And the Unitarian Church of Montreal falls into the latter category of a church that only has lay-led services in the summer months, June, July, August. So this is the second Sunday at which Reverend Diane Rollert, the current settled minister of the Unitarian Church of Montreal, has presided over. It's also Water Communion Sunday, so Water Communion Sunday can really be considered the official starting date of the new church year. It's the Sunday when Unitarians bring a sample of water from their summer travels, or some place that they consider to be important, and say a little spiel and mix it all together in a large bowl. I should note that water communion does not mean that they actually drink that water. The water is not consumed, largely because it comes from all kinds of different water sources. In fact, some years ago, the Unitarian Church of Montreal received a notice from the city of Montreal to the effect that they actually had to, I believe, boil the water or otherwise sterilize it after the ceremony to ensure that it wasn't toxic. It had to be disposed of in a environmentally friendly way. So that ought to underline the point that the water communion water is never actually consumed by anyone, and especially here at the Unitarian Church of Montreal, where, as I said, they received a notification from the city of Montreal that they had to handle the water in a way that was environmentally conscious, and which assumed that there might be some level of toxicity to the water. So we're just running the standard surveillance video, in the off chance that something happens. In the past, I've had threats made against me. I've been physically assaulted on a few occasions. I should say, as far as the threats and assaults go, they're few and far between, but they have happened. Other things that have happened is that Unitarian Universalists have interfered with my protests in one way or another, even going so far as to steal my picket signs on occasion. Again, that's a rare occurrence, but it has happened. And in fact, I've pressed charges in at least one case of the theft of my picket signs by a member of the Unitarian Church of Montreal. They also charged him with assault because he pushed me in the commission of that theft. And he was subjected to non-judicial treatment for his criminal acts, which means he copped a plea and got off lightly. So we're just walking back and forth with a couple of picket signs. We got a few freestanding ones that can be seen there at the side. Morning. And we're gonna just keep this camera running. Now another thing that this camera is intended to record, should it happen, is if there's any interaction with the SPPM police, or any other police for that matter. But as a rule, the police that do show up here are police from the SVPM, or is it SPVM? I'm getting a little mixed up in the acronym there. SPVM, Service Policier de Ville-Marie, Ville de Montréal. So yeah, there's been some incidents. I mean, the police have come many, many, many times, literally almost uncountable. I'm sure if one went back over the records and everything, one could figure out exactly how many times the police have come to the church, but we're talking dozens of times and probably heading into the low hundreds of times over the course of this protest. Certainly in the last few years, several years actually, Unitarian Universalists were calling the police almost every time I showed up, and they were coming almost every time I showed up. And it got to be a routine, and of course, most of them were reasonable. We even had some interesting philosophical discussions with some of the SPVM police officers, but unfortunately, there's a few bad apples, and had some run-ins with less than professional police that were abusing their authority, and so the video is to record anything of that nature. In fact, the police have not come by since the spring of this year, and I think that's as a result of the fact that in the spring there were a couple of occasions where SPVM police officers overstepped their authority, and my camera was running, and I put the videos up on YouTube for anyone to see, and not long after that they just stopped coming. I think they decided they were save themselves some possibility of that type of thing happening by not coming at all, which I think is the correct approach to take. I have a constitutionally guaranteed right to do what I'm doing. I've been doing it for 15 years now, probably a little over 15. What? Two main issues. One is anti-religious intolerance and bigotry on the part of some members of the church, including leaders. And another main issue is negligent response to clergy misconduct. When a minister behaves badly, as in many other churches, when you file a complaint, they do nothing, they whitewash the minister, and then they come after you for complaining. There's other issues as well, but those are the two main ones.
So were you part of this church?
I was a member of the church. What you may not know about this particular church is that a lot of the members are actually atheists. They don't believe in God at all.
Right.
And a subset of those atheists, not all of them, but a certain number of them, are quite intolerant if you believe in God. They think you're stupid. They think you're mentally ill if you claim some sort of religious experience. It is very ironic, yes. But it is a fact, and that is actually my main issue. I was a member of the church. I organized an interreligious event. When I joined the church, it was a very Christian-oriented minister, one of the few that is actually very Christian-oriented in this particular church. Mm-hmm. And he was very welcoming to me, and I had no problems with him at all. But then they got a new minister, and that new minister was one of these die-hard atheists, and very, very early in his ministry, he attacked me. He labeled the interreligious event that I'd organized as a cult, which is about the worst thing you can say about anyone's religious activities. He labeled me psychotic because I am claiming a fairly profound religious experience.
Okay.
It's funny because this church, they claim in their pamphlets to be a church that they're open to,
Right.
things. They even say.
To check it out.
Yeah.
Just at the street.
Unfortunately, put it this way, what they say and what they do can be the exact opposite. It doesn't mean it's all the time, but in many ways, there's sort of a generalized hypocrisy here.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
But go in. I'm not stopping you from going in. Right. Right.
And
Right.
I found out that this was, a non-denominational church or whatever.
Yeah, that's what they say. In fact, I would say this church, it's really funny because if you go to the website, they say we are atheists, agnostics, humanists, and theists. Well, atheists, agnostics, and humanists are all non-believers, so they sort of it's like 1, 2, 3, and then we have a few God-believing people
So
here.
then what do they believe in?
Well, you go after them. Well, they claim to believe in these 7 principles that they have up on the wall in there. You'll find them. If you Google 7 principles, Unitarian Universalism, you'll find what those principles are. The first one is calling for respect for the inherent worth and dignity of every person. The second one's calling for justice, equity, and compassion in human relations. Third one off the top of my head, I can't remember. The fourth one, if I remember correctly, is acceptance of one another and encouragement of spiritual growth. So you can see how labeling an interreligious event as a cult doesn't quite fit in with any of those. You know, labeling me psychotic doesn't quite fit.
That's not very fair.
No, and the funny thing is you know, when I complained, because I did file a formal complaint against the minister, both locally here and with the head office, as it were, their Vatican down in Boston.
Right.
And here they just blew me off. You know, they didn't really say much one way or the other. They just sort of dismissed my complaint. But down in Boston, they sent me this letter saying that the minister's behavior, as I described it, and I described it in a lot more detail than I did to you just now, and it was, you know, there was more, and there's some pretty serious problems. And they wrote back and they said, the minister's behavior, as you described it, seemed to us to be within the appropriate guidelines of ministerial leadership. And others, they just totally whitewashed the guy. So,
wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, let's assume that, you know.
Well, it's funny because they're saying I'm crazy.
Well, that's it. But, like, I'm thinking, I don't think you're crazy, but let's say.
Well, you don't know me well enough to make an assessment one way or the other.
But I mean,
but yeah, I'm not obviously crazy at the moment.
No,
yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
everyone's crazy. But let's say you're a pastor and you have someone in your congregation that you truly believe is like psychotic. Why would you know, throw them out? Kind of like, why would you?
Well, no, I got thrown out later as a result of the complaint, but
even then, like, you know what I mean? Like, let's say they genuinely thought that. Like, why would they say that as, oh, he's just like psychotic? Why wouldn't it be like, let's support him? You know, he's going through something, whatever,
exactly.
Right?
This is the interesting thing. It's like when the guy labeled me psychotic, it was in a private meeting with him, and he was like very angry and arrogant, and as like, you know, I was basically explaining my religious experience to him, and he cut in and he said, you mean your psychotic experience? And then he immediately followed up by saying, you know, get professional help. Well, to me, if you're a pastor, it is actually within reason to suggest to someone politely they might need some.
Absolutely.
But the way he did it was like, no.
Ego-driven, eh?
Well, I think there was definitely some ego there. I think there was also some denial. I find a lot of these hardcore atheists or people that are like, I call them the most God-fearing people on earth. They're like so afraid of God that they don't want to believe it. You know, it's like they're like very defensive.
It's so funny because it's the same kind of culture as, you know, uber, let's say, very, very Christian people.
Yeah, exactly. I call them fundamentalist atheists.
They're fundamentalists, exactly, and they assume what they think is better. They think they're better. They
know
think
the truth.
Higher,
Exactly.
And I'm like, hello. I have a few friends that think that way, and I'm just like, I'm very open spiritually, and I think everybody's, you know, reality is their own, and you know. That's crazy. And I was thinking, I'm checking this place out.
Well, listen, I would actually encourage you to do it, if only to see the hypocrisy.
To see the hypocrisy, right.
You know, but I'm not stopping anyone from going in there.
No, of course
but I am warning people, you know, there are some problems here, and that's my main reason for being here. I mean, I am trying to get some justice eventually, but these people are incredibly stubborn, you know, they just point blank refuse to acknowledge any wrongdoing.
Wow.
They've been ignoring this protest for quite a long time. And you know, they just walk past it, pretend it's not there, except when they're trying to shut it down. Oh, they've gone to extreme lengths too. And in fact, I got this hilarious legal letter in the beginning of June from the head office down in Boston, because I have a blog too, and I'm criticizing them on the blog, and I subject them to some ridicule on the blog because they're ridiculing me, and they say it's okay for their ministers to ridicule me and other people. So I said, fine, if you think it's okay, well, let's see how you like it. So I basically am not polite, so, you know, and so anyway, going back, I don't know how many months, there was this minister, and she was on Twitter, and she was tweeting about the hospitality and welcoming people and so on. So I just sent her a little tweet to the effect that, well, you guys aren't as welcoming as you claim. So what did she do? She blocked me.
Really?
And she put out an announcement, you know, Robin Edgar's blocked on my Twitter. It's like, oh, well, that's... You know. So I wrote a blog post saying, you know, this minister sucks and blows at the same time. You know, like she's a hypocrite. She says this and does the exact opposite within a short time frame, or pretty much the same time, you know. So I get this legal letter from the head office in Boston, from a Montreal law firm, one of the top law firms in Canada, Stikeman Elliott. They got like 500 lawyers across the country. And it's a very aggressive letter, and it's saying, they're accusing me of sexually harassing that minister because I said she sucks and blows at the same time.
Come on.
And so, yeah, it's hilarious. But the funniest part is at the end, one of the last things they accuse me of a crime. Blasphemous libel. There's actually a crime on the Canadian Criminal Code, blasphemous libel. And they're accusing me of this crime because they're claiming that I made unfounded and vicious allegations to the effect that ministers of the association have engaged in despicable crimes such as pedophilia and rape. Well, of course, the key word, I have in fact blogged about a few, in fact, just one minister rapist, but also a non-minister rapist. These are factual things. This is like newspaper reports, everything. It's like, it's not unfounded. But they're trying to silence me. They want me to remove the blog post.
Wow. But you know what? That means you're getting somebody.
Absolutely. When I saw that, I said, oh, this is hilarious. It means that they're feeling the pain down there.
If you want people to listen, it means someone's listening. It's bothering people.
I looked into the legality.
Yeah.
I mean, first of all, I checked out blasphemous libel. Even if I was doing what they claim, even if I was actually making false allegations about, it would not really constitute blasphemous libel. Blasphemous libel is attacking the fundamental beliefs of the religion. You know, like if I said something really nasty about Jesus, you know, like, and false. If I said like something false and defamatory about Jesus that would offend.
Wouldn't that be like all cults would fall under that? You know, like.
Well, I don't know about all cults, but a lot of
cults, but you know what I mean.
Yeah,
like
in fact, this law, it comes from the British, because our criminal law is from the British criminal law.
Old law then.
It is. It's an old law. The British actually abolished that law in 2008 because it was basically unconstitutional.
Yeah.
So I figure it's probably.
It wouldn't go
you know what?
Anywhere in Canada.
No. Well, the funny thing is I checked into it. The Canadian blasphemous libel law is very poorly defined.
Oh.
You know, it's very nebulous. So in a sense, you know, you could claim it because it's not defined well. So you could say, you could just say, oh well, this is blasphemous libel. But whereas the British, where it came from, it was more clearly defined.
Okay.
They got rid of it though. But their definition, as I said, it's basically. And it's only in terms of Christianity, by the way. In other words, no other religion counts.
That's crazy.
Anyway, it's gone in Britain. Here it's still on the books. But anyway, I looked into the legalities and this and that. As far as I was concerned, it was just a big pile of legal BS.
Yeah, of course.
Intimidation. I doubted very much that it would get to court. They'd have to be really, really stupid to take it to court.
Yeah.
So I took digital photos of the whole document and I put it on the internet.
Nice.
Did you know this Lou Reed song, Vicious?
No.
Oh, it's hilarious. Anyway, it's like, you're so vicious, you hit me with a flower, you know. So I put a little YouTube video.
That's good, that's good.
Because they used the term vicious in the letter. They said, unfounded and vicious allegations, you know. So I said, slap.
There you go, in their face. Well, good luck with your cause there. I
well, thank you.
What you're looking for.
Yeah. Well, like I said, you know, they've been ignoring me for years, and they think I'm nuts because I keep it up. But no, because first of all, like I was a member of the church, I was a regular churchgoer, so I'm just going to church.
Yeah, there you are.
One insightful, there goes the cops. They may or may not have been called for me, but you know, they've had me arrested a couple of times. But
how?
Well, they pressed ridiculous criminal charges before. I had to go to court and everything. I was acquitted because it was, again, total bullshit.
There you go.
They accused me of disrupting a church service. There's a law, again, on the books that you're not allowed to willfully disrupt a religious service, you know. So they accuse me of that law. You know, I'm out here on the sidewalk. I'm not making a lot of noise. They can't even see me. That's the sanctuary there. Do you see the windows? It's like there's slits, you know.
Yeah.
So they can't even. So, you know, so like before it went to court, I talked to the prosecutor and I said all this, and I said, you know, you really want to go through with this?
Yeah.
I have witnesses. Yeah, okay.
Oh my goodness.
So I represented myself because it was such bullshit.
Yeah.
And you're innocent until proven guilty beyond any reasonable doubt. So I said, you know what? I'll represent myself. If I lose, I'll get a lawyer and I'll appeal.
Yes,
but I'm not going to waste any money on a lawyer, and I'm going to have some fun.
Yeah. Nice.
And I did have some fun.
There you go. You did it, right?
Yeah. No, I was acquitted. I had a good judge. It helps to have a good judge because in other things I had a bad judge. They sought a restraining order, again on total bullshit. It's claiming I'm a threat and danger and all this stuff, and they're terribly afraid of me.
Why are they?
Yeah, because they're trying to get rid of me. No church wants a guy with picket signs in front, but they refuse to sit down and talk.
Thought about that before they treated you
exactly.
like shit. I mean. What happened to compassion?
Well, and then the thing is it's not like they didn't treat me like shit once, you know, like it keeps going, you know, and they keep raising the ante. As far as I'm concerned, sending me that legal letter is treating me like shit.
Yeah,
you know?
Of course it is. Of course it is.
So they're keeping it up.
Yeah.
So anyway, I appreciate
Good luck.
Yeah.
Well, maybe I'll see you if I go check it out at some point.
Oh yeah, I'm here most Sundays. You know, when they're not harassing me, when they're not trying to shut me down.
Yeah.
I might come 2, maybe 3 Sundays a month. Like I'm not like
of course.
a fanatic about it.
Yeah.
But I like to keep up a presence.
You want people to ask questions.
Yeah.
Which is whatever.
Well, you've done that. Well, actually, now that one of the principles that they claim is a free and responsible search for truth and meaning. So you just did that.
Exactly. But see, that's what I mean. Like you can't second guess someone's experience.
Yeah.
It's not yours
to anyway,
judge.
I enjoyed talking with you, and I'm glad you're sort of on side.
Yeah, I wish you luck.
Thank you. Yeah, right. Yeah, you too. So there we go. Nice little 20-minute conversation with a young woman who asked me some questions, engaged in a free and responsible search for the truth and meaning of my protest here. And then this woman, young lady, basically agreed with everything I said, and even, you know, came up with some comments of her own that reflect how the general public do respond. So I think this video is going to be going up on YouTube as an example of how, you know, of the members of the public that do, you know, show, you know, do intervene, or do interact with me one way or the other, either positively or negatively. The vast majority are positive, similar to that woman. And so this is a good example of a, you know, 15-minute conversation, let's say, with a member of the public, and they're totally on side, you know. So it just shows how, you know, out to lunch the church is in ignoring this protest. And on that note, we're going to end this little clip, the 22-minute mark, and start up another one. But that's one of the reasons I keep this camera running, is because of interactions like that as well. You know, it records interactions with the public as well, because they can be very interesting. Usually positive and supportive, but sometimes negative and and definitely not supportive. That's it for now. Well, no, I think I'll just keep it running since there are some people coming this way, but I'll shut it down after they've passed. Good morning. Are you aware of the fact that the UUA have accused me of the crime of blasphemous libel? I got a nice mise en demeure on June 1st. It's quite hilarious. It's on my blog. You can go look at it if you want. So the woman I just spoke with was one of the few witnesses from the church at the previous criminal trial I was speaking about earlier. I'm glad I kept the camera running. And what I mean by witness is, like, she came to watch what was going on. She was not a prosecution witness of the church. She was a member of the church who came as, you know, one of the members of the public to watch, and she kept notes and so on. I don't think she was very impressed with what happened during that criminal trial. So I just wanted to let her know that the Unitarians are still messing around with the Canadian Criminal Code, as it were. So on that note, we will end up this clip and start a new one. Maybe give the camera a chance to cool down. Wait a minute, I got someone coming again. Well, just keep it going a little bit longer. So it's got a dirty look there from a young member of the church. But I can't really blame her, since I put a video of her father being an idiot on YouTube. So she's probably not happy that her dad ended up on YouTube because he was behaving like an idiot. So hence the dirty look. On that note, we're going to shut this down and start up a new clip.